What is up, guys? In this video, we're going to talk about the O1A visa versus the E2 visa. For many years, I was dreaming of moving to the US, and I actually thought for a really long time that the E2 visa was the visa for me. But in the end, I got the O1A visa. So in this video, I want to share with you why I chose the O1A visa and not the E2 visa. All right, so we're going to cover requirements to the two visas, how much money you need to invest or pay for the visa to get it, how much flexibility you have with the E2 or the O1 visa, the path to green card, and also my personal story of why I chose the O1 visa. So that's what we're going to cover, and let's get into it. So let's start out with the O1A visa. This visa is also called visa for individuals with extraordinary abilities and achievements. And this visa really goes broad. It can be a football player, a scientist, an entrepreneur, an actor, basically anyone. It's not specified the categories. It's just that you need to show that you are the best in your field. And the way to show this is done by 8 categories, where you need to have 3 of these approved by the immigration. So that can be anything from press, if you won an award, if you got some important projects, or you were part of an incubator, if you made a lot of money. So you need to see if you can fit into these categories. And maybe if you're not fully there in this moment, you can also work on making your profile stronger. That you can already do today. But basically, the visa is so focused on you as an individual. And besides that, what is important to know is that you need an employer. You need to have a contract. But for example, for me, I work for my own company. So first, I formed my own company. And then after, I got hired by my own company. So that's kind of my setup. But again, that really depends on if you're an actor, then it's very different. Or if you're a football player, it's also different, or a scientist. So that's a little difficult to give a more specific answer to. But what is important is that you need to work for a company. So because it's the company that sends in the petition. And the O1 visa is 3 years or up to 3 years. I think the majority of them is you get 3 years. I got 3 years, and I think most people get 3 years unless you ask for less. And you can keep extending it forever. You can extend 1 year extra, 1 year extra, 1 year extra, 1 year extra. So that gives good opportunities to stay longer if that's what you want. That's pretty much how it works. All right, so let's get to the E2 visa. This visa is also called the investor's visa. And this visa works very different from the O1A. This one is not so much about you as a person, or not at all almost. This is just about the company and that you make a substantial investment into the US. So the way it works is that you form a company in the US and then you make a substantial investment. And this amount really depends on your industry, but the lowest is probably around $100,000. Let's say you have to own a web agency or something like that, where you just need your laptop and a few things, then the lower the investment could be $100,000. But if you work in another industry where it is more physical, like industrial, different industry, then maybe the investment is 500,000 or 1 million. So it really depends on what industry it is. And what is important to say about this investment is that it has to be a real investment, like in different assets. So you can't just transfer $100,000 to a bank account and expect that that's good enough. Maybe you need to buy inventory. Maybe you need to lease a car. Maybe you need to pre-lease an office or other things that then in the end will be an investment for, let's say, $100,000. So this one requires some capital versus the O1 visa, but it doesn't really look so much at who you are. It's just that you need to make this investment. You need to have a business plan presenting what is your agenda here. That's pretty much how it works. This visa is 2 years, but can be extended with 2 years, 2 years, 2 years. So there's no restrictions on that. But it is definitely a more capital-heavy visa. There's also 2 more things to mention for the E2 visa, and that is 1, it has to be part of the treaty countries. So this one is more restricted. There's less countries that is in this treaty agreement. So that's also something to look up. The other thing that is a plus with the E2 visa is that it's less paperwork. It can be a little more affordable with the lawyers, because you don't need as much documentation. You just need to make more like the investment. I thought for a long time that the E2 visa was the right fit for me because being an entrepreneur, I thought this is the visa that is for entrepreneurs. I needed to save that money and then make these investments. It's okay, you know, I could invest in inventory or other things, but I really thought this was the way. I had this idea that the O1 visa was for actors or musicians and not really for a person like me. But then when I really started doing my research before starting the whole process with the visa, I learned that entrepreneurs can also fit into this box of the O1A visa. It's just about, you know, seeing if you can actually fit into some of these categories that is required for the O1 visa. If you are a successful entrepreneur, you probably had some press at some point, maybe the local news, or maybe you got an investment at some point, or you were part of an incubator. Maybe you made some really original thing. Like there's many ways to work on your profile and see if you can work on the O1 visa. And yeah, when I learned that the O1 was possible, I felt, this is actually better because I don't really know if I wanted to make an investment of, let's say, $100,000 and before I even get started. It's also 3 years, the O1 visa. So I felt it was a better way for me to, okay, maybe it's a little more for the lawyers and all. A visa that is 3 years and not 2 years, and I don't need to make this investment. I can maybe go in another pace if that's what I want. And the most important, and that we're going to jump into now, is that it's the pathway to the green card. Because the E2 visa does not have a path into the green card. And actually, when I was looking into these things, I didn't really think too much about it. But now, actually, I see how important this is, because the way it works is that if you have the O1A visa, then you can go from this visa to the EB1A. And this green card has more or less the same requirements as the O1A visa. It's just a little more difficult to get. I'm actually working on I'm going to start the process, but it's the same structures, the same categories you need to do, versus the E2 visa doesn't have a path. There's no relevant path from the E2 visa to a green card. This means that then if you are in the US, let's say 2 or 4 years, and you're like, now I want green card, then you need to look what other visa options there is. So maybe you need to go in the direction of the O1 visa, or maybe H1B, or other ways. Try to see if you can get a green card. So if your intention is to stay for longer and want a green card, then the O1 visa really have like the path to it. And I think that is a super important thing that I didn't really consider that much before, but I'm super happy about that today. Before I finish this video, I just want to sum up the whole thing. I think that the E2 visa is great if you don't fit into these boxes of the O1, but you have the money, you're willing to make the investments, you're going to do it anyway, then yeah, you can save money on lawyers. It's not going to cost as much. I think that in most cases, the O1A visa is a more attractive option. So my recommendation is really try to see if you can get the O1A visa. And if you have any questions or wondering if you are qualified for the O1A visa, then feel free to drop a comment below. I also have listed some companies I recommend. For example, for getting the visa, I would recommend Deel, which I work with, and they have great programs for the different visas. Yeah, I used them myself, and I think that is a really good option. Also, when you start the process, you need to form a company. And I also have some links here, like to doula and also other options. So please check them out. And I hope you like this video, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.